I am gaming. I am gaming. I am gaming podcast.
Hi everyone, my name is Ivica. Thank you so much for being on the latest episode of I Am Gaming Podcast. This is a podcast about the video game industry, entrepreneurship, gaming nostalgia, and many more things I find to be in the same realm of creative and business ventures. Like always, a huge thanks goes to my Patreon supporters and everyone who is pitching in to make this podcast possible. I really appreciate your support. And please everyone, check out the links in the description below and see my patrons' cool ventures including YouTube channel, Twitch streams, games and many more awesome things. If you too want to consider supporting me, check out the link in the description as well. This is episode 80. Whoa, 80 episodes so far of I'm Gaming Podcast. We're closing on the 100 episodes slowly but surely, but this episode is only episode 80. There's 1/5 of the way to go. And this episode is all about a keen interest of mine, which is the domain of cryptocurrencies and crypto investment. If you're interested in the same field, you probably know that the last 2 weeks more precisely, were brutal. There's been a huge crash in the market price of all cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is back to the 30,000 range. Ethereum token is back below 2000 USD and everything is slashing its price nearly in half. And no one can tell when this process will end for sure. Of course, like it always does and like it always happens in the process of cryptocurrency crashes, there is that strong current of fervent believers in the whole crypto field who tend to use hashtags and concepts, which is basically the same thing today, as hodl or buy the dip. And this episode is about buying the dip, and it's contrasting this idea with the idea of buying the bottom, which I believe is much more feasible in the long run. Of course, every cryptocurrency investment, like any investment in general, comes with a degree of risk. In case of cryptocurrencies, because of the volatility of the markets, that risk is even higher, which is why people often tend to perceive the entire process of investing in cryptocurrencies as a huge form of gamble, which it basically very much is. However, at the same time, it has some regularities and patterns to it, which can be useful, especially if you're willing to invest money and effort in a way that is not essential to your livelihood and where you're completely and utterly fine with the money you might stand to, even most likely, lose or get tied up in the crypto assets. Now, the concept of buying the dip means that you should buy whenever the prices or whenever you're able to support a process of buying of cryptocurrencies, additional tokens, when the prices fall in their value. This is all well and good. The concept is solid and it entails the principles that crypto is still ascending, and even with falls in price, that ascension will continue in month, 2, 3, 4 or how many months, and will likely turn over the previous records like it did in this year or in 2017 or in 2013-14. The same concept is solid and it includes some elements that are basically correct, which means that crypto is ascending, there is a lot more room for growth, but at the same time that growth is unsteady and unsure in terms of the amount of time it will take until those record prices are once again realized on the markets themselves. That means that, for example, the present dip isn't a dip, it's a start of what's called a crypto winter, where the prices will stagnate and the bullish market will become a bearish market. Presently, that's still unclear and the prices are hovering at some point, but they could slide either up or down because we're still unsure. Anyone on the planet can say for sure that we hit the bottom, which is why I believe that it's important to also leverage that idea of buying the dip with the idea of buying the bottom. That means the moment you should restock on your crypto tokens is the moment when you're more or less, or however much possible, secure in the knowledge that the lowest prices have been achieved for this phase of the crypto markets. That might not include buying the crypto tokens in the moment where they're the most effective in terms of their fiat price. You might start buying them when the price begins to ascend once more, but it begins to rise. But with this process, with the process of buying the bottom, there is a bigger chance that you're not simply miscalculating a resurgent market with a market that simply is making its presence in the prolonged fall somewhat less fast, so that the thing that you're perceiving as the moment when the prices will come up is nothing more than a short pause, and the continuation of the fall will commence at any moment. So it's much better to kind of evaluate and consider the moment when you believe, along with all the information you can find and hopefully some of your peers that you can consult, the moment when the market is bottoming out, when the bottom is found, and when the prices will begin to rise. They might not rise astronomically fast, they might take still weeks or months, but at least you have that knowledge that your investment is starting to grow, instead of being unsure if it's growing or if it's going to fall down even further. Of course, it goes without saying that no one can be certain about this completely, but it's still, in my view, much better to seek the bottom than to seek the dip, especially if you're using the money, and you should use the money, that you can easily stand to lose completely, instead of trying to create cryptocurrency trading into an everyday profession that will sustain you and your loved ones, which I support not a tiny little bit. So when you get a chance to invest in the crypto markets, when you see those buy the dip hashtags, just consider the possibility of buying not the dip but the bottom. That's all for episode 80. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully it was interesting to hear my ideas are something that you can ponder about. I would love to hear your opinions in the comment section below. I would also love to have your likes and your subscribes if you're a new viewer or listener. Also check out all of my other episodes and all of my other videos. And of course, consider supporting me on Patreon. That's all for episode 80. Once again, my name is Ivica. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on I'm Gaming Podcast episode 81 in precisely 1 week from now. Until then, have a great day and bye bye.